He's a research fellow in the Molecular Sciences Division of DuPont. He has his PhD from University of Delaware. He's a fellow chemical engineer. He has worked in a wide variety of processes and catalyst development in the field of catalysis. He started with oxidative desulfurization, then he moved into the field of polymers with nylon. He has done a lot of work and development and commercialization of novel hydrogenation processes. And he has over 65 patents, presentations, and publications. So without any further delay, I would like to congratulate Sourav.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
And the title of today's talk is Catalysis, an Indispensable Tool.
So this is pretty important because I think this is going to be my first and last award. So I want to take a little bit of time to thank a lot of the folks who have come here. And first thank Vlad for the introduction and all of you for being here tonight. It means a lot to me. It is indeed a special night for me. And probably, as I said, first and last time I'm ever going to have one of these awards. And also very auspicious night for us Hindus from religious point of view. Because for many, many years, this is the first time that the day of Ganesha, and some of you know that, the elephant god or the god of success, and the day of Vishwakarma, the god of industry, like Vulcan in the ancient Roman god of metalworking, converged on the same day. So being chemical engineer, metalworking, industry, those are the good things that occurred tonight. I'm deeply honored and greatly humbled to be the recipient of this award, and I offer my sincerest gratitude to the committee members of the Catalysis Club of Philadelphia for finding me worthy of this award. You know, I have been a member of this club since 1987 when I was a student at the University of Delaware Chemical Engineering Department. Today I feel awed and humbled simply by the fact that I'm here standing in the same spot that previous award winners, you know, scientists whom I always looked up to and admired for their contribution to the field of catalysis. Some among these awardees have been my university professors, some my advisors and mentors, or managers or supervisors, and yet others have been my colleagues and good friends. As Sir Isaac Newton once wrote to Robert Hooke, if I have seen further, it is because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And boy, what a view I have had for so long. Standing here, the man who is foremost in my heart and mind today is someone who is no longer with us in person. It's very emotional, so forgive me for that. But it is he who has most influenced my work and who has given my career its distinctive shape. In my personal and professional life, he let me learn from his work ethic, his determination in getting to the finish line, his dedication to keeping up with the latest work in the field of catalysis, his fearlessness, his deep sense of family feeling, and of course, his dry sense of humor. He led mostly by example, but for the thick skin, he sometimes resorted to caustic one-liners that many of us are familiar with. You will have guessed, of course, that I'm talking about Ted Cook. He was not only my boss, my mentor, and my confidant, he was actually a surrogate father to me. A past recipient of this award, Ted literally held my hand since the first day. I still remember that. First day, Bill Minogue actually took me to his office, and he had his pipe at the time. He could smoke in his office, and you know, chewing tobacco in the pipe and stuff, and talking to me. So Ted literally held my hand for the first time since the first day in DuPont, and taught me how to do industrial research. I would like to believe that today he's watching me from somewhere around and cheering me along, as always used to say, "Go Tiger, get it done." I thank him from the bottom of my heart. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to Hank Foley, my PhD advisor at the University of Delaware, Leo Manzer, who's in the audience tonight, former director of DuPont's Corporate Catalysis Center, both past winners of this award, and Mark Thompson and Henry Brinster. Henry is not here tonight, both directors of DuPont, who have been a true and steadfast friend and advisor for the last 15 years and more. All 4 of them are chemists, and I have more chemists as my supervisors than engineers. And today, under pressure, would even deign to accept me into their ranks as an honorary chemist. And in fact, I was hired in Chambers Works when I came back from Invista as a manufacturing technical chemist. When I actually transferred over to experimental station again, my colleagues actually said that they were deceived by the fact that I was a chemical engineer in the skin of a chemist. So I still remember some of these guys making joke about that stuff. I'm equally indebted to Jan Leroux. He was my first supervisor in DuPont. Zeru Tekia, who's right here, Yuling Shao, and Ken Mector, my past and present supervisors, as they unstintingly encouraged and supported me at every step of the way. I would be remiss if I do not acknowledge the contribution of some of my colleagues and good friends in DuPont and at the University of Delaware, who have stood by me unwaveringly during the best of times and worst of times. When I was badly beaten and worn down, they extended their helping hands, pulled me up, and set me on my way again. These are the folks I'd choose to share a mug of beer with, letting out a sigh over lost hours, and a whoop and a cheer over shared achievements. It will be difficult to name all my friends and well-wishers, and I realize how fortunate I am to be able to say that, but I do want to extend my special thanks to Hassan Dindi, right there, Alan Algar, he's the chief, Joe Ritter, over here, Dave Corbin, Carmo Pereira, he is not here tonight, Susan Wolf, she's also here, Paul Vernoy, Steve Jacobson, sitting somewhere here, okay, right there. Frank Harkis, from my nylon days, and the list goes on and on. I also thank my friends and colleagues, Mario Napa is here, Katerina Korovesi sitting right there, Nitin Kolapure, John Zegner, so he's now in Invista, Steve Thierry, one of my cohorts during my Chamber of Works days, Pelin Hajaglolu, I actually helped hire her, and for taking the trouble to be here today, or tonight, to share this evening with me. I would like to thank my younger colleagues sitting in that last table over there. I call them young pups. Some of them are not anymore, like Carl Benning, Torren Carlson, Pranit Metkar, Jake Dickinson, he gets a lot of abuse from me, Eric Seshat, and many more for their camaraderie and for creating a very collegial environment at work where we can all work very hard but have fun at the same time. I expect them to be here someday receiving the same or other awards. And no thanks can ever express my feelings of admiration, fondness, and deep regards for friends I made during my first years in this country. Those whom I met in the classrooms and corridors of the university and in the soccer fields. I used to play soccer before I broke front 14. And coffee shops of Newark. Neeraj Saxena, he's right here. He works for Lindy. Vivek Agarwal, he was my first roommate, are here today. And others like Ravi Bariwala, he is back in India. Stefan Schwartz, he works for DuPont. Eric Lowenthal works for W.R. Grace. Matt Nirok, professor at University of Delaware, he was my first office mate, who couldn't be here, are, I know, cheering for me from wherever they are. You have been not just my friends, but my family for the last 30 years in this country. If you would indulge me for one more minute, I would like to thank my wife, Piali, for her total support and unfettered enthusiasm with regard to my work, for not chewing me up or out when I left very early and came home very late after an experiment or a report, and for putting up with me for the last 20-some years with indulgence, even if with somewhat ruffled patience. And most importantly, I would like to thank my parents, who were not highly educated themselves, but understood the value of education and encouraged me to get the best education possible when the family was under financial stress. Today, I hope I speak the truth when I say, as Kipling did, Rudyard Kipling that is, that I have learned to, quote, meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. And at the end of the day, I shall have achieved all I wanted if, in his words again, I can learn to, quote, fill each unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. That today is all I ask for. Thank you. And now, with the acceptance speech out of the way, let's talk about the technical part. So, the title of my talk is Catalysis, an Indispensable Tool. So, Can you hear me without the microphone? Because hold it. Go up.
Oh yeah, actually.
Huh?
Do you want to hold it?
Yeah. I can move. That's okay.
You can start.
Okay. So I'm not here to say how great catalysis is, how fascinating the story of catalysis is. I'm not here to say, can you hear me?
Let me plug it.
Oh.
There we go.
So I'm not here to say how much revenue the catalyst industry makes. By the way, that's $17.2 billion last I checked for 2014. Or how many catalytic processes there are and how many products that involves catalysis. Those are for some other person, some other day, not for me. What I want to say is that catalysis is really an indispensable tool that one would use and use it from the technical perspective. And perhaps my talk should actually focus on, as JFK, actually paraphrasing JFK's speech, ask not what catalysts can do for chemical processes, ask what you as scientists and engineers can do for catalysts so that it can be happy, healthy, and productive. So that will be my talk. So that will be my talk tonight as I try to connect some of my stories with catalysis in general and some of the specifics. So in order to have my stories, I have my heroes, and they are all mentioned over there, and some of them are present in this room. And primarily, they are not just my heroes, they are also my the co-workers, cohorts, or co-authors. And some of them, like I said, Susan Wolf, then Steve Terry, Pranit Metkar, Dave Corbin, Leo Manzer, sitting in that audience. So I'm going to talk about the stories. Keith Hutchinson, they are here, and the rest of them are not here tonight.